Live on the interwebs. Yeah. Alright. Without that bad signal.
Two people watching.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting to see
The SS
on
Selma
after Christmas here.
was an oil tanker built in 1919. It's made of concrete. That is, why would anyone think that a concrete boat would be okay?
I don't know.
Whatever floats your boat.
It
Oh.
doesn't float now.
Yeah, it didn't float.
Alright, looks like we're good here. I'm just gonna Facebook this and we'll get started.
How did I not know this existed?
Because you're not a tourist in Texas.
That's true. Do not disturb for 2 hours. What's up, Jeremy? What's up, Todd? What's up, Impulse? What's up, Jeff?
Alright, let's go to our faces. Hello everybody, joining us on the streams. Hope everybody had a good holiday. We're getting set up here to record, and
Yes.
we'll get going. Don't have a lot of notes. It's kind of a slow week.
It's okay. It'll be good. There's going to be good conversation. I can feel it.
Good convo.
Feel the conversation.
And yeah, looks like we're good here. Oh, I do need to go make sure that I have my
We're just going to spend the whole episode talking about how great The Mandalorian is.
wrong. Control room. Here's what I was looking for. I gotta get my YouTube control room up here so I can see comments.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy. All right.
What's up, Jeff? What's up, Jeff and Jeff?
Jeff and Jeff.
Jeff and Jeff.
Jeff and Jeff. Geoff.
Geoff.
Geoff. All right.
Jeff, do you hate it when people pronounce your name Geoff?
Geoff, yeah.
You gotta hate it.
I hate when people pronounce my name Geoff. Because they're way off.
Because that's not my name!
All right, I'm going to start recording if you want to start
Yeah,
recording
I'll
as
start
well.
recording.
Check.
I've started.
Man, I'm mad that I didn't fix my audio, that I waited this long to fix it, because it looks and sounds great now.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool. All right. Is everybody rolling, I guess, first of all?
I am rolling, yes.
Okay. We're going to do a sync clap, so it'll be 1, 2, 3 clap, all right? 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Perfect. Oh, look, I didn't even...
Motion designers always have good rhythm.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
That's why I'm such a good dancer, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed. He dances for me on Skype when no one's around. It's an expressive dance too, you know. It's just all over the place.
Oh man.
He doesn't know I'm
Hey,
secretly
not supposed to
recording.
tell anyone. That was our
I've
secret.
I've been recording it, dude. It's gonna be a YouTube sensation. It's gonna go viral.
Oh man, I got a whole TikTok page all dedicated to your dances.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
I think
That'd be a
we're-
pretty
yeah.
awesome TikTok page. I'd
Yeah,
follow.
right. Yeah,
Expressive dancing by Matt.
right.
Mograph expressive dancing. You basically you put on people's reels and you dance expressively while they're going. That's a good one.
That'd be good. That'd be good. I like that.
Okay, well, I think we're rolling and
I just
everything's
sneezed.
working, and I think we're gonna get it going.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Hold on. I gotta
Gonna
sneeze, but it won't come out. Okay, go
Look at
ahead.
the
Let's
light.
just do this.
Look at the light. Look at your backlight. That'll do it.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. All right,
All
here we go. Is my phone muted? Yes, it is. All right, here we go. What's up, and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today is the super talented Sarah Gibson.
Hi, guys.
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show, questions, comments, concerns, grievances, topic ideas, queries, artist suggestions. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, mograph.com, maybe TikTok, who knows. And hit us up.
Those secret TikToks of me dancing.
Secret TikToks of Matt dancing. See, we'll just put them on the Mograph account because we need something there. Right?
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do. If you can, that'd be great.
Yeah. So email us. We love to hear from you. We've got a lot planned in store for 2021.
A lot.
A lot.
I'm so excited
A
about
lot.
it.
It's like the culmination of things that we've been working on all of 2020
For
finally
years.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got some stuff rolling out. I'm trying to get the new site rolled out here pretty soon. So you won't see a lot of difference. The back end is completely redone. The new site, there's stuff that's going to come along with the new site. That's not going to be released just yet, but the new it's not even a full redesign per se. It's just like new servers, new media back end, and all of that kind of garbage. There will be some slight differences. There's going to be some full length pages, like, left to right, things like that you'll notice. But we'll be adding quite a lot of stuff this year based on that new layout, including the front page is going to have a video now that features animations from Mograph community members, people who are in our Slack and friends and things. And I know we did kind of a call out for that at one point. It said, send us your renders, and of course, we're going to credit you on there, but we just want to have stuff from the community, what people are creating. So if you want to send that to us, info@mograph.com, send that over. This is kind of like the last call out for that because I have to build that little video reel to go on to the new site this week. So send that on over as quick as you can. So that is the first thing I have on this week's wrap up, so to speak. We need a name for this week.
Week
something
wrap
cool.
up. I like it. It's
Week
perfect.
wrap-up. That's boring.
In the week wrap up.
That's boring. But
Nah.
I don't know. The only other thing that I did have, because it's the holidays and it's kind of slow, might be a short show,
Yeah.
is that Aaron left Red Giant.
Yeah. That's so sad.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
sad.
He didn't really say why or anything. We were looking on Twitter, looking for like a reason.
I mean, he said, did you see the, let me see if I can pull up
Yeah, he
the
said it
Twitter.
wasn't a bad parting or
Yeah.
anything on Twitter. He was talking about he's just there's things he wants to do and whatnot, which makes sense.
Yeah. Oh.
But other than that, there wasn't really much explanation. But
Hopefully we still see him at the events, you know,
yeah, for sure.
because I feel like he's a big part of this community, has been for a really long time.
Yeah.
And it would be sad to see him just completely,
Yeah.
be gone.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to make sure we find him at these meetups now, or hit him up and be like, you better be there. So we wish him the best on that, and can't wait to see what's in store. And no real render updates or anything like that from Octane or Redshift or anybody.
I mean,
this
they
week. I
released
don't know.
the, what was it, 2020.R5 release candidate 5 last week, I think.
for
Octane,
and
yeah,
the C4D,
for C4D.
But
Yeah.
it's kind of it is a release candidate though. I don't know if it's something you really
I
want to
mean,
install.
I use the release candidates all the time.
Yeah, no problems with them or anything.
Sometimes I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have problems with them.
Yeah, I'm just
Let's see.
holding out a little bit longer because I
Yeah,
feel like I just updated.
2020.2 release candidate 5.
Yeah,
was,
I do have
today.
R20. I'm full on R23 now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am as well. Even though I it's so stupid. Like, we got these 3090s at the end of our big job, and I haven't had a chance to use them yet. I'm so
Yeah.
sad, you know?
Well, I can't build my next computer, Frankenstein computer, out of spare parts until I get my next 3090. So
Right.
I've just been
Yeah,
waiting.
and Best Buy's been so dumb about it.
I know.
It's like we'll get a notification that there's one available, and so you go on there, you add it to the cart, and then it's like, oh, you have to pick it up, and there's nothing available within 250 miles. It's like, so why are you giving me the option to add it to my cart?
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
mean-
expand the radius to 1,000 miles.
Mhm.
I can't do that. No.
They can't.
All
The
right.
whole thing is they turn it off because they don't want scalpers getting it sent to them, marking up the price.
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to get one then?
Right.
Mhm.
Because they're never available in your area. So like if they're not in Dallas proper, you can't get one. You have to just happen
Yeah.
to be at a good, I don't know, maybe New York or LA or something. I don't know
Yeah.
how they do all that, but there's nowhere else. I don't. I noticed Damon Milstead's comment. The same thing that we were talking about is with Walmart. You can get an alert on hot stock for Walmart as well, but we turn those
Yeah, but-
off because it's all scalpers. reselling.
$3,000. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all scalpers.
man.
selling them.
You can resell on Walmart like you would on like eBay or something. So, yeah.
Sarah, that's
Yeah.
my wife in the chat. She says my son loves your last name because it's
Oh.
the same. His name is Gibson.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like Wheel of Fortune before and after.
Right?
So that's really all I have for this week and for anything else going on. It's again, it's kind of always a slow week.
It's the week
And
after Christmas.
So we never really
Yeah.
have a lot of news. We will have an article coming out tomorrow on Mograph.com. You can check that out, assuming that I get some of this stuff working and whatnot. There's
Sorry,
your dog.
I know. I'm just
That's
as
my dog.
excited about the article. It's gonna be great.
So we're
I
gonna.
guess the mailman is here. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Why did-
What's your dog's name again?
Opie.
Opie.
He's a
That's
bloodhound
right.
lab.
Hey.
Just turned 6.
saw him on the stream the other night? I
Mhm.
think
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
we were.
Yeah. While you were away, Matt got to meet him. I had
Yeah.
him come
Oh,
up and-
okay.
Yeah.
My when I was growing up, Andy Griffith's show was still around, and people used to tell me that I looked like Opie. So my my uncles and my dad would always call me Opie. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
know who this is.
I actually didn't name Opie. He came with the name. I got him when he was
Okay.
3 months old, and I'm like, it suits you, so we're just gonna
Yeah.
stick with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we were on the stream the other night on Winbush's Twitch stream,
Hmm.
playing video games and things,
Yep.
which is
Yeah, y'all
usually
started that way
Saturday.
too late. I was like
always starts
all
too
on
late.
board to play, and then you didn't start until like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, y'all,
That's
I am
typically when it
exhausted.
starts.
There is no way I am
Well,
gonna
'cause
go
it's-
into my office, set up all my streaming stuff, and
Yeah.
then come join. That's too much work.
Yeah, it always starts at like 10 o'clock, sometimes maybe like 11 our time, because that's, we're 2 hours behind Winbush, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He has to kind of get done for the day.
Or ahead. We're ahead of him. He's
Yeah.
behind us. Yeah.
yeah.
Opposite of what I said. Sorry.
So it's always like, oh, we're gonna start streaming around 9 our time, and then like you get the link about 9:30. People start filing on. We don't go
Yeah.
live until like 10 something. And then our Halo friends start texting us, hey, you want to play some Halo? And
Yeah,
we're torn.
See, I never get the link until after it's already like streaming. Like it's always like it's on Twitch, and then it's like, hey, Sarah, join. Here's the link. And I'm like, okay. Let me switch over from whatever else I was doing or watching.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everybody join us on that. I'll try to put a link to that in the show notes as well, to Winbush's Twitch, so you can check that
It's a
out.
lot of fun.
Yeah. It's very relaxed. It's not like a show. It's not like a show,
Yeah.
It's just people hanging out, talking. which is fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And drinking, usually drinking.
Drinking
Cool.
or other things. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dropping acid.
Yeah.
Candy flipping.
Can you imagine, like,
Oh gosh. That
Dave,
would be
why are
really-
you in last place? I don't know what's going on, guys.
The colors, man. You
the
see
colors, the colors, children?
You see the textures on this, man? Nice.
No, it'd be more like, why are you in last
You ever
place?
played Mario Kart? You ever played Mario Kart?
Oh, we. Yeah. With that, it would be more
Oh,
like,
man.
why are you in last place, Dave? Oh, you know, broccoli. It would be something completely off the wall.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So, anywho, Sarah, we're going to talk about you now.
Okay.
Let's start from the beginning because we haven't known each other that long. I don't believe we've met in person ever, have we?
Nope.
So,
No, I haven't been to any of the big events yet, of course.
Yet.
It's just, yet.
'cause
Yes.
keyword.
No, I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
Planning on it.
sometimes I'm like, was I drunk and met you at one point? Because I don't remember.
I know that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
The worst is when we've had someone on the show and then I meet them in real life and I was
And
like,
don't
they're like,
remember.
oh yeah, I was on the show. I was like, "Ugh, whoops.
And you're like, was I drunk on the show?
Was I drunk on the show?
Yeah. So let's start back from the beginning and let's learn about your background. We always ask, did you go to school or not go to school? That's always
Yeah.
the start.
I did go to school, but it wasn't for motion design. I have a bachelor's in graphic design and a minor in creative writing.
Nice.
hmm
That's a good
Yeah.
combo. I think that
Thank
I
you.
feel like that's a good combo, especially then moving into motion design.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
A good way, a good starter thing.
Absolutely. Because I mean, I love telling stories just mostly with pictures than with words these days.
Yeah.
But there was no motion design degree actually at my university. And there was only one class for it. And I didn't even take it. Because with my degree, like I had to take either HTML coding or it was like a motion design class. And I took the HTML coding because I thought, I'll use this. I've never used this.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I graduated. It was from UCM. And then after like a year of just like doing like contract gigs and stuff, because, I graduated from college in 2010 and it wasn't a good time to be looking for a job at that time. And so it took a while to find a full-time job. And I worked at a publication here in St. Louis for about 5 years, almost 5 years. And so I was working in print for a long time. Yeah. And then like towards the end, especially after, so when my boss went on maternity leave, I was doing her job and my job. And then also while shopping for a house and doing stand-up comedy.
Nice.
And I did that, I was living at my grandparents while house shopping. So I like had no expenses. And, I was just like, yeah, I'll go out on Thursday nights and do stand-up with my friends and just,
That's fun.
and then come home late at night and wake up early and go put the paper to press the next morning. Yeah, it's just like something I did. It's crazy. Burning the candle at both ends, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so that was all happening. And I was like, man, this job is too easy now. Like I could just like do it in my sleep, basically. Like, it wasn't challenging for me. So I started looking for a new job. And then I made a really simple animation for my new website while I was job hunting because, I needed to have a website, needed to redid my resume, like the whole thing, like made myself like a logo kind of thing. You got to do all that stuff. And so I was like, wow, that was really fun. So when I got an interview at this health supplement company called Relive, I talked about that in my interview. And at the time, Brian Singler was there. He's now a colorist at Burton Strobey Studios here in St. Louis. Cool. He actually did the color for that Die Hard, like AutoZone. Was it AutoZone? It was one of the like car parts stores or something. The Die Hard commercial that just came out recently. He did the color for that. But he was at Relive with me, and he was really excited that I was interested in learning more animation, motion design stuff. So after I got the job at Relive, he was very supportive of me learning more. And I did a animation just in my spare time at work. It's really so like another super simple one, although I used Liquify and After Effects, and I was working on an iMac with 4 gigabytes of RAM.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was painful, to
Yeah.
say the least, to get it done. But after I did it, I showed it to my boss, and I, pitched the idea of doing animations like that for their social media. And it just got so much more engagement than the stills that we were putting out, that I kind of built the role into my role as like part of it, that I started doing animations. I took a couple After Effects classes at STLCC, which is a community college here. They do like 1-day courses. So I took like 2 days of After Effects. The first class, it was like I already kind of knew everything from what I had taught myself.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I learned a couple new tricks. But each one, there was only like, 2 or 3 students, and counting myself. So it was like really nice. Like the professor,
That's
like
good.
the first
Super
class,
hands-on.
yeah, like the professor just sat in between me and the other girl, and just like went through everything and was just looking at her screens and like, okay, yeah, that looks good.
Cool.
And then and after that, Relive, then they also paid for me to take the Grayscale Gorilla Cinema 4D class with David Broder was my professor. And that's actually where I learned all the animation principles. And after that class, I made my first reel.
Nice.
And Vidzu was hiring, and I landed the gig. And I was there for almost 3 years, and now I'm freelance.
Cool.
So that is my long, winding story.
And Mitch Myers was there, right? When you
Yes,
were...
he was.
Yeah. And was there any overlap, or did he leave basically right when you got there?
There was no overlap, but he was there for my first interview. Vidzu is very different in the way they interview everyone. The team interviews the team, basically. So my first interview, I had like a short interview with the creative director, and the at that time, he was the vice president. Now he's the president, I believe. But I had a short interview with them, and then I was taken to the meeting room where it was like everybody. And Vidzu isn't that big. It's like 10 people. But so then like everyone was in there, and Mitch was in there, and they just all would ask me questions, kind of get an idea for the personality, because it's not just can you do the job, it's also are you a good fit for the team, which I really liked, because when I was leaving Relive, I wasn't even involved in the interview process for who would replace me. It was just, and I mean, most places are like that, but I really liked being involved, because I care about whatever company I work for, and I want to make sure that when I leave that there's someone who can do what I do, kind of thing. So, but yeah, after my interview, Mitch messaged me on Instagram. He was like, great interview. So I was like, whew, okay.
That's good.
Did a good job. Because, it's always nerve-wracking being in that interview and trying to make sure I'm making eye contact with you and talking to you.
Gosh, I hate interviewing. I hate it.
Oh, well, the vice president, John Lanius, he threw out a question because his wife's cousin went to high school with me. So he threw out that name. He was like, how do you know so-and-so? And I was taken aback for a second. I'm like, we went to high school together. How do you know her?
Yeah.
Because she's not in this field at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was really confused. And then,
Facebook stalking, is that?
Yeah. So then I had to Facebook stalk him kind of to figure it out. Or I think I messaged her. I was like, hey, how do you know so-and-so? How do you know John Lanius? And then she's like, oh, that's my cousin's husband. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's funny.
That's that can be such an intimidating way to do an interview in front of all those people. I can just imagine that can be a lot of pressure, or it could be very comfortable, just depending, I guess, on the situation. But
yeah,
it is.
Well, I think he likes to kind of throw people off a little bit and see how they react.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I do like that.
He's a really cool guy.
It's almost like you can sit and see if you, I don't know, jibe well with everybody that's there if you're just like, if it feels comfortable when you're having a conversation with a group of people like that. You know, like what would a production meeting feel like if you were in it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last like 3 interviews I went on, like I got to a point where, you know, okay, so I was working, I did this one interview, you know, I got an interview with a really cool like company in Dallas, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do everything that they tell you to do. I'm gonna go buy a suit, you know, and I'm gonna have, you know, resumes printed and stuff, and I'm gonna have my demo reel on, you know,
Is this
iPad.
before we met?
This was before we met, yes.
Okay.
And so, you know, went out and spent like $600 on a suit, and then, you know, had my cards done, and then after the interview and everything, I sent out thank you notes and blah blah blah, and of course I didn't get the job. You know, I didn't get the job, and at that point I was like, I don't care about the interview process. I think the interview process is stupid. Let my work speak for itself, you know, and I will wear whatever the hell I want to wear.
I was going to say, didn't you wear jeans and a cardigan to the interview when I met you?
I actually, every interview I have done after that, I wore jeans and a black cardigan and a black shirt.
Yeah.
And I have received an offer from every job after that. You know,
well, you probably because you look comfortable and you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Just,
you know, and I just like it's like, let yourself speak for it. Don't be stuffy, you know, and like I've interviewed with rooms full of people, and as long as you know what you're talking about, you know, I don't know. I feel like you should be able to land a job.
Yeah.
I feel as long as you're not like wearing shorts or something,
right?
You're probably fine.
Board shorts and flip flops.
Yeah.
Right?
No, we had a guy once that came in for an interview wearing shorts, and they were short enough that when he like crossed his legs, we were seeing like a tattoo on his thigh, and that's all I could think about like the whole interview. I'm just like, what is that on his leg? And you wore shorts to an interview?
Right.
Like,
right.
You really don't want this job. We aren't going to hire you.
Thanks, tattoo
it's also
thigh guy.
Easier. With the last 2 interviews or whatever, it was also very easy because like I didn't care whether I got the job per se, you know, and I also I was freelancing during like 2 of the interviews, and it's like I didn't care whether I got the job. It would be cool, you know, but I'm really enjoying freelance life. I don't know.
Freelance life is fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do a stand-up comedy. Remember we were talking about doing a Mograph stand-up comedy thing?
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm very curious about your stand-up comedy career.
Oh, man.
I really want to know
because
more.
I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to do it. My wife makes fun of me all the time because I always say, hey, I came up with a new routine for my eventual stand-up comedy thing that I'm going to do.
Got a regular Jerry
well, when you
Seinfeld.
do it, advice is make sure you record yourself on your phone so you can listen back and hear the audience responses because it's all about timing. So you got to hear like when exactly in your bit, like just you get the biggest laugh and then work in when you pause and, you know, and then experiment of how you tell it, what more like emphasis you put on different things, you know, it's a whole process. I mean, I'll still like think of jokes and I'm not going to tell them because the last one I came up with, it was kind of on the dirtier side. But you know, I would talk about things like my family's just kind of funny. Like when my dad was getting a colonoscopy, my mom texted me to let me know like, hey, just so you know, your dad is getting a colonoscopy tomorrow. And I'm just like, am I supposed to wish him good luck? Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? And she's like, yeah, that'd be nice. So I texted my dad and I just said, good luck. And he said, thanks. Just like a random, like, good luck, Dad. Good luck today. And he's just like, thank you. It's like, this is the weirdest conversation I'm having right now.
I know. I always be like fun to give it a try. Not a colonoscopy.
Stand up.
Well, I was gonna ask. There it is. There's the bell. Yep. There you go.
But I would love to do that. We talked about, maybe like at in Vegas or something at some point, having a night where we all kind of like write some stuff. I think wasn't Billy Chitkin all for it or something? He was like, yeah.
I mean, that sounds fun to me.
Yeah. I think it would be fun. I don't know if I'd be good at it.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah, I really miss going out on my buddy's bar. They would have open mics on Thursday nights, and I'm like, man, especially now that I'm freelance, I could totally like go out on a Thursday night and not have to worry about getting up super early the next day. That I can just, I'm my own boss, rearrange my schedule a little bit. But yeah. COVID, so
right. But COVID though.
Yeah, but COVID though. So. Yeah, because I was talking to my mom about that. I'm like, it's awesome being freelance, but I don't feel like I'm taking full advantage of all that freelance has to offer because I can't go out and do things.
When did you jump off and go freelance?
June. Yeah.
June this year?
Yes. It has not been that long.
You picked a hell of a time to do it.
It wasn't actually really my choice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm very happy with how things turned out.
Yeah.
And it's not Vidzoo's fault, and I still work with them. They're great people. It was just like the perfect storm of things. Vidzoo is part of like a collection of other agencies, and they just like signed on for a really expensive lease in a new building. So completely redid the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole floor and a half of this building downtown St. Louis. So, I mean, the parking was more expensive. The building is more expensive, and I was there for like maybe a month or so before we then all worked from home again because of COVID. But, so it was like the perfect storm of things, and especially since most of the other agencies are event related. That's how their money comes in.
Yeah.
So it was just like a cut everywhere. And at first it was going to happen in April. And so I remember that meeting and just hearing the list of who was going to be staying on and because that's how they did it. It was just like, these are the people that are still going to stay on salary. Or stay, and the rest of you are going to have to just go freelance. And then not hearing my name, and I was glad I was on mute because I just started crying, because there was that moment of oh my God, what am I going to do? I have never been unemployed ever in my entire life. I have a house, so I have a mortgage, all of these things freaking out of my head. So I took a day to be upset. And then the next day I'm like, okay, I got to build a new website because my website had gone away because it was hosted with Adobe, and then they took that thing away. And then, so I'm like, all right, I got to build a new website. I got to make a new reel. It's been 3 years since I made a reel because, and just I was all ready to go. And then a week later, they're like, actually, we just got money from the government. So we're going to keep you guys all on, but we're going to cut your salary. So during that time, so I wasn't making as much as I used to, but it was still fine. I was still and I was saving money not having to drive to work every day, even though my commute is 30 minutes and I don't even get on an interstate. It's just, just straight up downtown because I'm in South City. And so I was just working from home during that time. And and then just after the government money ran out in June, then
it's good that they were able to actually get some of the government money, because most of the people I've talked to, all the big corporations are taking up all the small business money. Or the churches are taking up the
which makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Tell me about the process of getting everything going. There's always the thing where everybody's too busy to update their reel and their website and all the things, right? We haven't updated jack. We haven't updated anything in 2 years now. And it's because there's just so much going on. And then a lull happens.
We're also running two companies at the same time.
But if there's a lull or someone loses their job or whatever it is, whatever your situation is, there's always that moment I got to do all these things. And it's not just the reel. And I don't know about anybody else, but every time we kind of revamp everything. It's like, let's just scratch the website and start over. You know, do
Yeah.
you think that it's better to keep that stuff up to date, or just kind of post and then maybe just revamp it later? Because the way that everybody works now, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go check out that Instagram and check out that Twitter.
Yeah.
Are people even
Yeah.
checking this?
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, would you have rather, had the website updated, or are you perfectly okay with the way it happened?
Starting over.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with it, because I mean, I made the choice to just like let my website go away, because I was also like, I've got Creative Cloud through work. I mean, since I was at a studio, I wasn't freelancing at all, because you're not allowed to do that when you work for a studio, at least the one I worked for.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's the same with the others, because
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't need Creative Cloud at the time because I had my work account. So if I needed to do something at home, I could just use my work account, when I would do, I always do the invitations for my grade school's dinner auction, because if I don't, they're going to look terrible.
Yeah.
Well, my mom is a teacher there still. So I still am connected. And, not this past year, but the year before, I actually did like a 3D animation, and I had plans to do a really cool one for this year, but then COVID, so the dinner auction didn't happen. So I'll probably do that for this next year, maybe. But so I was perfectly fine with just building a website. I used Squarespace because
Squarespace is easy.
It's so much easier. Like first I was going to WordPress it, and then I'm just like, this is annoying the shit out of me. So I'm not going to do this. Building websites is not my favorite thing. So I like working with Squarespace because it's just okay. And I built it. It looks good. It doesn't need to have all these bells and whistles because it's just me. Like, I don't need like all sorts of fancy stuff. Like, your guys' site is fancy. Like, to me, like, that's a fancy website.
Yeah.
Matt
Like
says,
me, it's just
but
like-
I'm like working like really
Well,
hard.
it
behind the
depends.
scenes
No,
and-
I didn't know which one you were talking about. If you're talking about the Nexus Motion one or the Mograph one, because I immediately thought of Nexus Motion.
Oh.
I was like,
I was
that's-
thinking,
that's
I'm
just
talking about the
Squarespace,
Mograph one.
you know?
Yeah, I'm talking about the
but
Mograph.
yeah, the Mograph
like,
one. No, that's I don't touch that. I
Yeah.
don't touch that.
No,
Yeah,
I
like,
built
your
that.
website is fancy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very good job. Like, I would just get frustrated. I get frustrated when like things like that. Like, that's why I like animation and motion so much. Like, because I just make it and then it's like that. Like a website, you could like code something and then it's like things gonna go completely different and wrong in a different browser, and I would just get
and
frustrated.
WordPress can be like incredibly frustrating. Like, see, so I built the initial Mograph site, and I just did what I could in WordPress. It's like I slapped some plugins together and whatnot, and now we actually have Armando doing our web stuff, and he's doing like an awesome job. And he did, like, you won't see, that's why you won't see much of a difference in the design, because he like took the same design, but he like redid it the right way. But it's one of those things where like we're gonna do this changeover hopefully this weekend or into next week, once everything's good to go, right? Well, in the meantime, like, we have to set up the new site. So anything that you do on the old site has to be updated on the new site, because it's this weird transition period. So I go to post that article that's going to come out tomorrow, and there's one plugin that I can't update, like the metadata for the article to have the little subtitle when you paste it into like Facebook or a browser or something. Well, in order to update that plugin, I have to update WordPress. And if I update WordPress, that's going to screw everything else up. And so, like, for a designer, if you're just trying to get your work out there, like,
it is it's just too much.
Yeah,
because Vidzoo's website is through WordPress. At least it was while I was there, and then it started breaking, like, within the last year or so when I was on staff. Because we would all, like, the team in general, we would all kind of like update website stuff, and I ended up doing it a lot, and I actually had to break out some of my like HTML coding stuff, because like in order for me to bold things, I had to actually like type out that code, or like this needs to be white, and just that kind of stuff, which was really like annoying because it was just something was going wrong, and we would talk to a web person, and it was just
this is
I
broken.
just don't want to deal with that.
Is it HTML? Is it CSS? Is it PHP? I don't know. Is it a plugin?
Yeah.
But you use Squarespace, and we use Squarespace. We used it for our old site, and we use it for our site. I think some people use Wix and other things. But how do you, now that you have it set up, how do you see that people are finding you on the internet?
Mostly because I use a link tree on my Instagram. I think that gets a lot of people through there. I also have it linked on my LinkedIn, and I think that is mostly where people come from.
Linktree is like where you put it in your bio so people can get to the links you're talking about. If you're not verified, like the cool people.
I love Linktree because, I mean, it's free. I use the free version. I haven't, done the paid version yet, but I love it that then I can just update it with different buttons. So if I'm like, hey, go watch my short film, and then I can just like put that as the top link in my Linktree. And I never have to update the link in my bio. And then I can consistently keep the links to all my other, social media and pages or whatever.
I like Linktree. I hate it's so ugly though.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Yeah. It's just so ugly.
Well, if you do the paid version, I think you have more control and can make it prettier,
Yeah.
But
and then you can add CSS and PHP, and then you're right back to
and then you're just doing more complicated things.
Yeah.
When you put the link in now, I don't is that going to still be okay to do? Because there's all these new terms of service on Instagram now where it's like, oh, well, if you post a link in your bio, it has to be your website. And then there's all this other weird Instagram subtext. I don't know. Kevin sent me a link to something.
Thanks, Zuckerberg.
Really?
It's like they can use all of your stuff now for anything, and they're allowed to look at your contacts and all your photos on your phone or something. Like, it's all of this gobbledygook. And the problem is it's not that it's not true, it's that it gets misconstrued. Like, there's lawyers, and these lawyers try to account for everything and every possible scenario in order to CYA, right? And then they do it, and then people read it, and then they're like, oh, that's so dystopian. I can't believe that they're going to do this. And then it becomes an article, and then it's kind of taken out of context.
Yeah. Well, like looking at all the photos on your phone, that's probably the same thing as when you give Instagram permission for you to go through your album so you can post something.
Yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't mean anything else, because that's weird.
You never know.
Yeah, I know.
You never know.
It could be like the South Park episode, like, you accepted the terms and conditions, and now you're going to be this, you're going to be part of the human Senta iPad thing. Like,
so most people are getting to you through that. Then is that generally?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I was just like super fast about building a website, putting a reel together, getting it out. Like, I did it all within a week.
That's
like,
good.
I'm just like, it's like,
Just
I need to do this to survive. And then
Mhm.
talking to my brother built my computer for me because I was working on my Vidzu workstation. I had brought that home. And because I already had a workspace set up at home since we had to work from home for a few days while we were moving offices. So it was kind of funny that I was working from home and I'm like, okay. And then I went to the office.
Of the parts, right?
Yeah, basically. Well, it was just, and then, no, I didn't do that. Oh man. No,
I would have done.
no, no, I like sent my brother the specs for my work computer, like my Vidzu computer, like this is what I'm working on. And I sent him from like what I was thinking of buying from Box. I sent him that. And then he took that and then built me a computer.
That's cool.
That's a good way to go with it.
Yeah, he's going to be building me a new one next year. So then I'm going to be trying to get my hands on some 3090s.
Yeah.
Cross fingers.
Well,
How has the freelance world like have you felt like you've been much more successful moving into freelance?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, it's almost like a blessing in disguise. And that's one reason why I really love our industry. It's like, okay, you don't like your studio job, cool. At least you can still go freelance. It's not like you're ever. We will never be out of a job. That's the thing. People will always need motion. People will always need video. People will always need this stuff. It will always be around unless aliens take over and
Well, if you're a waiter,
that's kind of worst case scenario.
If you're a waiter at a restaurant and you lose your job, you can't just go freelance wait tables.
Right.
That's true.
So you got that going.
Can you imagine some guy just walking, oh, let me bust this table for you.
Yeah, they just come over to your house. I think
I'm gonna bust your table. And what would you like today? Today, I believe you're making a roast chicken.
Yeah. So freelance waiter is called
I'll
butler.
have to go to my freelance my freelance cook.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll be back in a few hours.
Yeah.
Make sure to leave me a good tip. But yeah, no, like we're able to just get up and going, and that was the thing that I really like. I got fired from the job that me and Dave were working at because the owner wanted to buy a Maserati, and I apparently wasn't worth that keeping around. So
seriously? Wow.
Yeah, he's a dickhead. So I was very worried. I didn't call my wife. She was not the first person I called. It was my old boss saying, "Hey, I'm available for freelance work." And so I went freelance for a couple months after that. And as much as I was looking for a full-time gig and stuff, I was just able to keep the freelance work going, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it until I went and got one of the, a new job. But that's one reason that I really love this. I didn't end up having to take unemployment at all during the entire time that I was freelance. It was great.
Yeah. I did take unemployment for the beginning of it, especially because we were getting the extra government money. But the only thing bad about it was that I had already started reaching out to people in April when I thought it was that week, after that day. Then I started emailing because I'm friendly with a bunch of different agency and studio owners because I put together a Mograph festival here twice.
Cool.
I know people at 90 Degrees West and Aligned Media and all these other studios and stuff. And also because I'm on part of the St. Louis AIGA board. So then I have a lot of contacts. So I was just I was need to make sure I get something.
Yeah.
So I'm emailing all these people, and then it was a week later. I'm actually, I'm not going freelance yet, so I'll let you know when I do.
Yeah.
Because it was just that awkward waiting period. I thought I was going, and now I'm not. So now I'm just kind of figuring things out.
At least you're immediately on their mind.
Yeah.
Once you did.
Yeah. Although I did get some why are you going freelance right now? And then having to explain why.
Yeah.
From some of them, since we're friendly, and just,
So what kind of projects are you working on?
Yeah.
Well, okay. One I can talk about. And this is why I'm still on 22. I haven't gone to 23 yet because I'm waiting for this one to finish. I'm doing these very simple 3D animations. This is not a real piece. This is just
for the meal.
This is a meal, not a reel. And this is for touchless bathrooms and airplanes.
Oh.
So it was really funny because the week you guys asked me to be on here, the day before I was modeling a toilet. I was and then the day before that I was teaching my mom After Effects. I'm this is the weirdest week ever. Just
That's funny.
But because I needed a bowl for the touchless toilet seat and lid. So I needed to build the bowl for that because
just
and I was
loft, right?
Yeah, I was this is just I took a cube and I just modeled it under a subdivision surface and just lined everything up together and just then animated the lid opening and closing. And it's pretty cool, the idea of how it's supposed to work. But then I got into an argument with the client because he's no, I want to see it open when it flushes and see the water going down. I'm but that's against everything these products are about. It's about keeping everything clean.
Right.
And so you don't have to touch things, and so things aren't getting into the air. And if the toilet is open when you flush, things get into the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of hoping something that'll change because of COVID is that maybe we'll have toilet seats, like the lids, in public restrooms. Because that's always like that's like one of the grossest things about public restrooms is you can't close the toilet before you flush.
Yeah.
So everything from everybody is
even
in the
thought
air
about that before.
and on the surface. I'm sorry. Now you're gonna think about this, but yeah.
Yeah, I will.
Well, and I always think about that stuff now during COVID. It's like, okay, now if I touch this with my left hand, and then I'm going to touch the door, so I got to make sure that this hand doesn't touch anything else. I'm like the aviator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So, what do you put in the toilet to show something in the toilet? Is it blue?
Oh,
something blue?
No, there was nothing in there. I mean, it's all about the seat. Yeah. It's not about it's not about what's in the toilet.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did have to like animate it like opening and then closing. And then our compromise was I just had a flush sound effect. So you got the idea that it's flushing.
Ah, gotcha.
So like I did that. I mean, I did the same thing with the touchless hand dryer, but then I also had to, make the hands look wet. And at first I had like used X particles to make droplets on the hands. I'm like, this doesn't look right. Yeah. It just looks like there's like gel on his hands falling off when they get under the hand dryer. So I used those same X particles to make a wet map and then just made his skin super, super shiny in those areas, and then like it disappears as he's drying his hands awkwardly because these aren't high budget, so I'm not like doing super some hand animations. This is why this isn't going up places. It's just it's all about the product. They wanted me to keep it simple.
You gotta fit that budget.
So I'm keeping it simple. Yeah.
I love the X Particles wet map stuff. I did that for my X Particles challenge one where it was like some gold was going over the logo and I wanted it to change from one texture to the other. It was cool. Yeah, I just used a wet map and a vertex map. It was cool.
Very nice. Yeah, that was my first time actually using a wet map. And I'm like, this looks really cool. I'll have to use this again when I had time for fun.
Right.
And there's in a toilet, going back to the toilet color, because that's where my mind goes. You have to use blue. You would have to use blue.
Oh yeah, for the water.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what other colors could you didn't even want to use yellow. Ew.
Yeah,
you don't want to use red.
Or red. No.
Well, it's just more like it was like the hand kind of waves, the toilet opens, and then the hand waves the toilet is actually somehow like the seat senses like after you get up or after, like you stop using it, and then it just closes on its own.
Glad it doesn't happen while you're on it.
Like they currently do, where they just randomly flush for no reason.
That's true.
Well, then it's like, and then you wave your hand in front of the flush sensor, and then it flushed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you?
I feel like there are many points of failure in that system.
Well, have you ever been in like an airport bathroom and the thing flushes early and you're on it? That's the worst.
And it just splashes all up on you. Yep.
No,
this thing had a bidet. Can you imagine you're just sitting there now and the thing starts eating your rear?
Eating you?
It's just like closing.
Like how strong are the jowls?
Yeah. I hope it has a sensor to stop it, or else you're in trouble.
Help!
Help me! I'm just like, these are all just like, step files from engineers and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I was just glad things were like in pieces enough that I could easily animate things without actually having to like dive into the weeds and, separate things out. That's always super annoying.
Yeah, totally.
So anything else that you can talk about that you're working on right now?
Well, I haven't really started on it yet, but I am planning on doing another short film.
Cool.
And the next one is going to be about a mummy in a museum having a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah, no one steal my idea. It's on the podcast. Reference.
Now, if a mummy loses his bandages, is there anything beneath?
It's like, so this idea, I've had it for years, and it's just kind of been in the back of my head. And originally I came up with this idea when I was doing some stop motion stuff at Relive. And like I thought and there was two ideas. Either it could reveal the armature underneath, or it could be like a really shriveled, dried up, mummy parts.
Right.
Or what about
Yeah,
invisible?
I like the really shriveled, dried up mummy parts.
I'm kind of thinking of doing that, and then maybe like doing a comedic blur on it, like pixelation kind of thing, like just like in that area. But I mean, so then he's just going to be in the museum, narrowly avoiding the security guard, like
Nice.
like trying to find new pants. And then they're going to become friends.
Goes to the bathroom and gets a bunch of toilet paper.
Yeah, basically. That's kind of like where I'm thinking. I still need to like do the character design and storyboard it out and like, fine tune the story. But that's like the general idea. Like I love doing like something where like Paranorman is kind of like part of the inspiration behind this. So it's like, like the mummy gets out of the coffin or the sarcophagus, not coffin, sarcophagus. Right word. And is like all scary, but then his bandage gets caught and then he like gets like the wardrobe malfunction happens and then he's embarrassed. So it goes from like scary mummy to comedic mummy. And I like doing that kind of stuff.
I got an idea for you.
Oh yeah.
He goes into the bathroom and the bandage kind of falls into the toilet and the auto flush kicks in. Starts spinning him around, and that's how he loses.
Well, after he gets up, he's really got to go to the bathroom. I mean, after that
and he walks out of the bathroom, and he's got like a piece of toilet paper hanging from his foot as he's walking around.
Also, like, I kind of want to do something like with a suit of armor, and he's like considering the bottom part of the armor as pants. Or
Can you imagine? Can you imagine you go into like a museum to check out like a mummy? And he's wearing Dockers.
I'm also considering maybe the security guard will give him his pants. And then the security guard just ends up in like, heart boxers or something. Classic cartoon underwear.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything in like you got any cords in a boot cut? He's like not satisfied. Yeah, I like that. I love that idea of like you've got toilet paper on your foot. Actually, you got toilet paper everywhere.
Well, maybe like he'll get some toilet paper, but what if he accidentally like gets wet or something, and then he's just like and his new bandages quote dissolve.
Yeah, you do wet naps on the toilet paper.
Right.
Oh man. One of the things is like, especially after doing the sea monster short, I'm like, next short, no liquid simulations, or at least very little liquid simulations. No more splashes and stuff. Like the splash at the end of mine is not as big as I wanted it, but I was like, I need this done for my presentation, and like, this is it. This is it. It's done. I'm done.
Do you find that ever hinders your creativity in general? Anything like that? It's like because if I sit down to try and write something. And I want it, and this is what the story needs to be, then I'll think about what is going to be like required to pull that off, and I'm like, let's not write it that way. It kind of sucks that you have to change that.
Yeah,
because it's like
sometimes. Yeah, I mean the if you look at the page on my website for Hook for the short film, it did change from my original storyboard, mostly because my friend Nick. Who's Knox Art on Instagram. He's a really talented 3D like modeler, illustrator. He uses ZBrush and he uses Cinema 4D too, and he'll ask me questions. But he's over in Germany. But like he's a person that a lot of times, like when I do a new reel or when I do any sort of personal project, I get opinions from him. And so he's a good friend of mine. And I showed him like the first rough animation for Hook, and he's like, but this doesn't make sense, like the boat just goes down. I'm like, well, I kind of saw it as almost like the sea monster like grabbed the boat somehow from underneath and pulled it down, but he didn't think that like worked or made sense enough, so I switched it to CC the sea serpent hitting the boat, and then it flips over and sinks that way.
Nice.
Although when I showed the short to my mom, she was so concerned about Seamus, the fisherman. Like, I have character names for everybody. She's like, where'd he go? Is he okay? I'm like, well, it's kind of open-ended, Mom, but in my head, he's dead. And she's like, oh, my God.
It's like the
She's like-
video of like the parents when you're trying to show them a meme, and they're just
Right.
asking you about who is that? Who's that person in this?
Yeah.
And what are they?
Do you know
where,
this
where are?
person?
Yeah. Do you know that person? Where are they? It's like no, just
Oh, man.
just go with it.
Yeah.
I have funny exchanges with my mom. Like in the beginning of COVID, she was all like concerned about me dying. And so she would just like text me every day, like making sure I'm okay. Like, and so it got to the point where I just started sending her gifts of John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever. It's Staying Alive. So I just started sending her, like, every time she'd ask, like, are you alive? I'd be like, yep, just John Travolta gift. Just for a while, that was the thing. I was just sending her gifts of John Travolta.
Then you get you get sick, and she asks if you're alive, and you send her the confused Travolta. You know.
Yeah, that would be. She's calmed down now. She's fine.
That's
But
good.
yeah, like in the beginning of COVID, she was very, very concerned about like me, I guess, because I'm in St. Louis, so more people and
Yeah.
Mom, I've just been sitting at my desk for the last 24 hours.
I know it's like, where do you think I go?
Yeah.
I have my groceries delivered. Like really, like it's.
The club. I was not at the club, Mom.
Oh man.
It's all a hoax. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about 3D printing a little bit because I just saw something last night. I think on Instagram. Was it a story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Build your own 3D printer.
Yeah, so it was a kit basically. Like I backed it on Kickstarter, and I knew I was gonna have to assemble pieces, but I had to assemble everything.
Yeah.
Like it was like literally just here's all the pieces and here's a link to the instructions. They didn't even print out the instructions.
Yeah.
And it's just been a pain in the ass because like I'm proud of myself for doing it, but at the same time, like when I'm putting something together, it's like whether it's me installing a doggy door in a door or something, like if it's not working out, I get grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
If
I'm
things
with you
aren't
there.
annoying me, I just get grumpy. And it's just like, so it came in the mail like right when I was starting on a big project. And I'm like, I can't open this box until after this big project is over because once I open it, like this is all I'm going to want to do. So it was kind of like, had to ignore it. So it's like a month after I got it that I finally started putting it together. And then buried in the instructions online, it was like, oh, by the way, there was a mistake with the manufacturer and the cords that basically go to the hot end where the filament comes out were too short.
Oh,
And they buried that in the instructions. I'm like, cool. So now I have to order new parts and they're going to come from China. So that's going to take weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm super annoyed that I started building it and then I had to stop.
Yeah.
Wait,
They were
why
like,
wouldn't they send you? Why wouldn't they rectify that before they sent it? Like,
I don't know. There's been a lot of like stop and go with. That's why it's like it took me almost all summer to print this little test print here. Just
wow.
Yeah. So that So I mean,
Wow.
I was annoyed that they didn't even just like send an email. Like, okay, you don't have enough time.
Yeah,
to
seriously.
send them out, but you're assuming that everyone's checking this, like reading through the entire instruction booklet before. Like
they should have just sent out the missing parts.
Yeah. I mean, it was like $5. It was $5.
The kit?
No, like the part.
replacement.
The
It was
part.
like $5, the replacement part.
That's-
It was like $5. And they were like, well, you can still use it. You just have to adjust your Z height, I think, because of how short the cords were.
Oh,
And I'm
it
like,
won't go high enough.
if I'm doing this, I'm gonna do it right. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna like
Yeah.
put it all together and then have to redo something. That's no. So I had it partially built and had to stop and wait for the part. I got that part. And then I had trouble mapping my print surface and, did some research. And then I had to have my uncle 3D print a piece for me to use to fix my 3D
That's
printer.
funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So luckily I have an uncle with a 3D printer. And then after that, and so then right like after I'm testing it out again, I've mapped the print surface successfully. I am now extruding materials. And then like right before I'm going to test the heat bed, one of the power cords stops working.
Oh, geez.
Like it breaks. So then, yeah,
like
so
physically
it was
breaks,
just like,
or it just kind of like
the light doesn't come on in the like the box part of the cord, like where you have the cord plugging in and then you have another plug.
oh,
And
okay.
I don't know what that's called. I'm not
It's
an
like a little
electrician.
module or something.
Yeah, like that box.
Yeah.
Like the light isn't even coming on in that.
Hmm.
Also, like this kit came from the UK, and so the cords are different, but they sent me adapters. But then, like the adapters are kind of loose. Like you plug it in, and it doesn't really want to plug in. Like there is definitely times where I've accidentally like touched it, and then it came out.
Oh gosh.
Hopefully this was cheaper than just buying like an actual
Right.
3D printer.
I feel like with like all this, like, because I got like all the like the expansion pack thing. Like right now, my biggest complaint is I can't get the second material because I have a dual extrusion. Like so, I should be able to print two materials, and that isn't working. The motor keeps turning the wrong way, and I thought I fixed it, and then I went to do the test print, and then I look and like, no, it's still turning the wrong way. So it's pushing the filament out instead of pulling it in. And I keep having to trying to adjust things in the firmware, and it's.
So you couldn't just like reverse polarity on the motor. It's something.
I'm trying to, and I mean, because I had to do that for the first one, and you'd think that it'd just be the next line for extruder number 1, because you got extruder 0 and then extruder 1. And I've put it on false and I've put it on true and nothing changes. And I know definitely something changes because I accidentally changed the first one the first time and then it wasn't working because it was pushing it out instead of pulling it in. So I know it does things, but it's not doing what I want it to do. So maybe I'll only be able to print with one material. But at least now it's printing, and I've ordered another power cord, the same as the one I've gotten, because I assume the other one's going to break at some point. And I'll just, at least this one, when I plug it in, it stays plugged in. But it's.
What was the cost for this?
I want to say, maybe like, it was probably around like 500, probably, like with all the stuff. Well, also because I got a bunch of different kinds of filament too. And you know,
and it's one of those things where you have to judge, like, is it going to be worth putting together? It's like 500 is a lot, and you can definitely buy a mid-range printer for that much, but the $500 put together yourself one might actually do a lot more. You got to weigh that.
Yeah.
Like, I have a Elecraft KX3 radio, shortwave radio.
Of course,
And I put, and I put it together because it's like, okay, you can buy this for $800 and put it together yourself, or you could buy it built for $1,300. And I was like, that's a significant amount for just putting some stuff together. So I looked it up and I got it, and it was a lot of work to put together. I didn't have to solder anything. That was kind of like one of the big points, whether or not you'd have to solder, but I didn't have to solder anything, and it was not bad. But you do have to kind of judge, like, if you're putting something together yourself, is it worth the extra money or not?
I didn't have to solder anything, but there was a lot of things like, this is the most delicate part, and make sure you like don't have any sort of static electricity while you're plugging these things into the board. And I'm just like, you guys could have put this together. Like, why are you making me do this part when So then I'm like super nervous when I was touching it and just, putting it together.
It's because they can manufacture the pieces and throw them in a box and say,
basically.
it doesn't work, it's your fault.
Yeah. So I won't be buying a 3D printer from them ever again, but it's been a good experience. And for the part where it's like, I know how it works because I put it together. So that's kind of cool that I know exactly how it works and what motor is controlling what. And, like I put every tiny little piece together. And although I was super annoyed, when I went to do my first print, it messed up and scratched my printer plate, but I can buy a new one.
Ooh.
But because it's magnetic and it detaches. But so then I had to replace my what's it called? The I'm blanking on the word, but like the point, like where it comes out. The I don't know, the extruder cap, whatever.
Yeah, the
The nozzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nozzle. So I had to replace that, and I had to get out my vice grips to pull it off of there, like to unscrew it. Yeah, I went from my nice, like small, kind of like jewelry pliers that I've been using a lot to hold things while I'm using an Allen wrench to tighten the screws, to okay, I'm gonna get out my needle nose pliers. Okay, that's not working.
Oh.
And then I have like an UV glove on my hand to help cushion my hand as I'm holding onto this hard metal object really tight, and I've got my vice grips, and I'm just like, okay, we finally got it off of there.
Jeez.
Yeah,
is it one of those? There's a kit, and I don't know what the brand is. But there's a kit where you can actually build more 3D printers with your 3D printer. Is it?
Oh,
is
yeah.
it that one, or is it?
No, this was through Kickstarter, and like even like I sent it to my uncle, and then he was just like, "Oh, I don't know. Like he basically like recommended for me to not get it, and I probably should have listened to him, but
Yeah.
you know,
I was gonna say, it sounds like, and you just did your first print yesterday. That sounds like a lot of work just to get your first print done.
yeah, it has been a lot of work just to get my first print done, and it was just a test print, and it's this kind of janky looking red boat.
What software are you using for that?
Cura, and hold on, I've got it. Cura for the slicing, and then hold on, let me open up the other one. Whatever it's called. I have the icon. I have it on my desktop.
Is it Simplify 3D by any chance?
No. What connects to the 3D printer and that I can control everything is Pronterface.
I've never heard of that one.
So they had me download. And this is there's a lot missing, I think, in the instructions, because I had to figure out myself how to tell Pronterface that I have 2 extruders, so I can even just like try to test it. And figure out like, oh, this is why my 2 material test print wasn't working, because the motor's turning the wrong way.
There's Simplify 3D, but it only works with like open source 3D printers. So you have to make sure. I mean, I don't know what you've got, but even certain brands like not SourceForge, FlashForge, the one that I have, not even all of their models have that open. But if yours is open, I would recommend checking out Simplify 3D, because it brings in Cinema 4D models pretty well. I mean, they have to be
nice.
FBX and whatnot, but it's very good at like bringing that stuff in and then doing all the hard work for you later, like building a raft for it or supports or all that automatically.
Yeah, I think this is open source, so I'll have to check that out. Because, I just did my first test print, so I haven't even tried printing something I've made yet.
I was going to ask if you built that boat or not.
No, that was just like, here, download this test print. Because I was like, I'm not going to make something super complicated for the first one, and I'm just using like the default materials it came with, which is, they sent red and blue, and then I have like a wood one, and like a carbon kind of one, I think, in a silver, maybe a white, I can't remember, or a black, I don't know.
Cool.
I got a lot of different colors, so I was like, well, I might as well just get a bunch of stuff.
Some of these printers will do soft metal, some of them will do those like dissolvable supports and all of those things. So it's a lot of fun, and it's very hobbyist, it's like none of them are like plug and play, right? Like none of them are just like, you're gonna have to deal with stuff no matter what.
Which is, I'm like my father, and I get annoyed. It's like if my car breaks, I'm like, why?
Because reasons.
I expect it to just work. Some things where you just like expect it to just work, and this isn't one of those things. But eventually, maybe I'll get that second material to work.
I couldn't build it all myself. Like, I do enjoy Legos and building my own computers, but it's like the second something goes wrong, I wouldn't even know where to begin. That to me seems like a completely undoable task for me.
Legos sans the whimsy.
I mean, it helped that there was all of these instructions, although a lot of it is, I'm fairly logical in like how I'll think about things. So I'm good at putting things together, and I just get annoyed like when, hey, this part is actually wrong. And it was like there were still things that I had to fix because there was parts, like I needed to cut part of the connector on some cords yesterday or over the weekend because I realized, oh, this is why the LCD screen isn't working on the printer, is because I need to turn these cords the other way, which means I need to cut off this plastic thing on the side so they'll go in correctly. I was like, thank goodness I bought a new X-Acto knife because I couldn't find my X-Acto knife. So like while I was Christmas shopping for my sister, I got myself another X-Acto knife. So
Good. Very good.
yeah, so it was a good thing I had that because cutting that with like one of my kitchen knives would have been difficult. And then, yeah, it's just been a lot. That's what I get annoyed about, when things in like the parts are wrong. And it's like, and I had to like dig through the instructions to find that out. You couldn't have sent an email like, hey, we've shipped your box, but just so you know, these parts are wrong. If you want to order the correct part, go ahead and do so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, and here's the link to order those parts.
Fried
like,
Pixels.
That was
here.
like the review. Oh, hey.
Okay, now I can't remember. Did we talk about this off the air or on the air now?
We talked about it off the air.
Okay. Now that Fried Pixels is here, the wet and sticky.
Oh.
Wet and
We're
sticky?
talking about wet and sticky. Yeah, wet and sticky.
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Matt's like, speaking of.
Speaking of wet and sticky.
Go to the bathroom. Yeah, so this happened after you had left the game night last Wednesday. So Christmas Eve. Because it was the evening before Christmas Eve. Yeah, and we were all, we were playing Push the Button on Jackbox. And it wasn't me that answered. It was, Kendra. Say Kendra. I might be remembering her name wrong. But both her and I...
Kenza? Is it?
Yeah, Kenza.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, both her and I were the aliens that round. Although I don't think I knew she was an alien, but I knew I was an alien because the game told me so. But if you haven't played Push the Button, basically, it's like Among Us, but you're only doing... kind of like quizzes and questions, and then whoever's the aliens will get questions that are different from the humans, and their answers won't make sense. And her question, the human's question was, what's your favorite drink? And EJ answered beer, duh, and I forget who else was in there, but I think there was 2 beers, and then hers was anything wet and sticky. Because her question had been, what would you hate to get on yourself or something like that? Okay. So her question, her answer really didn't make sense. And she tried to kind of spin it like it was a drink. And so then we were making jokes about, hey, can I get a wet and sticky? And hey, yeah, you want a wet and sticky? Yeah, let's get 2 wet and stickies. And then since I have bartender friends, from my stand-up days, I was like, I'll ask my friends, hey, is there a drink called a wet and sticky? And the next morning, I got a response from one of them that there is one called a hot wet and sticky.
Close enough.
And yeah, so then EJ has decided that will be the official drink for NAB 2021. We're all just gonna go and get hot wet and stickies. But I tweeted out that and tagged a bunch of people. And then it started this whole long joke of I'll take 2 wet and stickies, please. I'll take 3, but can you make them holiday wet and stickies? Because it was Christmas Eve, and
so that's why all the comments on social were about wet and sticky.
Wet and sticky. Yeah. So then the rest of the night we were making wet and sticky jokes while we were playing the different kind of the drawing games that we'll play that are just ridiculous, and it's always callbacks to earlier in the evening. Or from past game nights.
When we do the pinball party / karaoke / limo ride next time at NAB.
Drinking hot wet stickies.
Hot wet stickies. All right.
Yeah.
It's like our inside joke with Ariev where we call it lights, camera, lasagna.
Yeah.
Right.
Lights, camera.
I do remember that.
Lasagna. Yeah. We should name it that on the Slack, because there's a Slack channel.
I did put lights, camera, lasagna in there.
Oh, that's great.
People laughed.
Yeah.
It sounds like almost like a Garfield comic, like that
Right?
would be-
Yeah,
Lights, camera, lasagna.
that'll be next week's.
I hate
Garfield.
Mondays.
I've got a couple links I wanted to go to real quick before the Mograph Recommend segment. I mentioned this briefly last week in the holiday show, but we were in holiday show mode, and so it kind of got lost in there. But the Go Gorilla Filmcast, Matt and I were on, and so I wanted to put the link to that in the show notes. It was fun to sit down with them and talk. They're on the Mograph Podcast Network, so check that out.
Go check them out.
And there'll be a link in the show notes. It's a great show. Check it out. If we talk a bit. We've talked a bit about podcasts, and we're going to add some podcasts to our network and things. And we're trying to find things that aren't necessarily all 100% exactly the same. So it's like a lot of people, especially our friends. We have a lot of Halo friends and things, and we're always chatting offline. And a lot of these people are doing a lot of shoots, and they're into movies and film, shorts, all not necessarily 100% Mograph all day, every day.
Right.
So there are these kind of like side areas that we feel are very interesting, Unreal, or whatever it is, right? And so,
and like speaking of podcasts, like for example, Caitlin Cadgio just announced her podcast. She's doing like it's one all about cartoons. I don't know the exact name
I did
of
hear
it.
about
I'll see if I can find it and then put in the link.
Is it going to be a live stream, or is it just
I don't know. I don't
audio,
think it
or-
is. I think it's just audio.
Yeah. The French
So-
Monkey is starting to get into something too. I noticed he's been posting like podcast studio and stuff. So
It's cool.
a lot of people working on podcasts right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so check that out. And the only other thing, I kind of missed this, and I saw it, and I didn't realize this was Raid Zero's, but his Mando,
Mandalorian thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of
that's
saw
good.
it, and I liked it, and I didn't, for some reason, I was just kind of like flipping through my phone. I was like, oh, that's cool. Did not realize until I came back around that it was Phil's.
Yeah, totally.
Make sure you check that
That's
out.
good.
But that's all I have for links today. Like I said, we don't have much going on. So
Yeah.
let's talk.
It's
let's-
called Cartoon Feelings is the name of
Cartoon
her,
Feelings.
podcast. Yeah. And look on Twitter at Feeling Cartoons or Cartoon Feelings.
Is there an episode out yet, or is she just?
I think
starting to
there
work
is.
on it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
There's one episode.
Cool. I'm gonna have
I
to
think.
try and grab that, put that in the show notes
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. Let's go to Mograph Recommends. I think we might have some good stuff to talk about today when it comes to movies and TV shows and things that just recently came out. So we're gonna start by asking you your favorite movie.
Jurassic Park.
That's quick.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Well, I mean, I wanted to be a paleontologist as a kid, so
Didn't we all?
I love dinosaurs. Yeah. Well, I would like dig for dinosaurs in our backyard because there's like fossils around my parents' house. Not like
Cool.
not like really big ones, like
Little
like
snails
shells and stuff.
shells. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Which is always cool to find. But yeah, there's definitely like rocks with fossils in them. Or
That's cool.
I mean, they become part of the rock, so I guess just fossil rocks. I
Right.
don't know, like out around my parents' house, and yeah, as a kid, I just dig for those. So Jurassic Park, and it's just so good. It still holds up. It's just still great.
It
I
does.
love watching it.
It does.
Mhm.
I feel like that and Terminator 2, are huge influences within among a lot of us in this industry. It's like, oh, I got into this because of Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
So,
Well, it's just they were so smart about like they didn't use VFX for everything. They did things
Right.
practically as well, and I think that's why it still holds up. That it just still feels real. Like I watched it recently. Like it became part of my Halloween movie binge. Like it was like
Nice.
the month of October. I was just watching, like horror movies and like all the Scream movies and
Nice.
you know, monster movies. Like, and I watched movies I'd never watched before, and then also like prepping for like my Mummy short that I mentioned. Like, I watched like some old school Mummy movies,
Fun.
which was interesting. But then also I like critiqued them hardcore. Like, you know, I was just like
I would never do that with my Mummy.
no,
movie.
it was just like, why does he look like he's covered in mud? He wasn't in the swamp yet. This makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry. I see Wimbush in the chat, so hi.
What up?
What up?
Yeah, what up? What up? But yeah, so Jurassic Park though, definitely like my favorite movie.
Thoughts on WW84?
It was fine. Like, I was so excited about it because it'd just been so long, and I watched it and I'm like, it happened. It's there. Like, you know, maybe I'll watch it again. I was watching it with my family over at their house on Christmas. Like that night we watched it all together because it's my HBO Max account, and my dad is like, put on HBO, like connect to the TV through your phone, even though like I've logged into the account and set profiles up for both my sister and my mom on like their devices, but my dad doesn't have an iPhone, so he doesn't. I was like, well, it's on Mom's iPad and it's on Maggie's iPad, so you can just use one of their iPads to do it, Dad. He's just like, I'll just wait for you to come over and we'll watch it. Okay.
Well, the first one, the biggest thing for me is that the green screen was so bad. It was overly distracting. And then there's, I swear that this is something that nuke artists love to do. And they love to do the bloom, the over bloom, like light wraps, like super fuzzy looking. Like, I swear nuke artists just like love that. And I don't know why. To me, it makes it look kind of weird and almost fakeish. But the light wraps and the bad green screening on the first one is what I didn't like. It just completely distracted me. And so I haven't seen the new one. And the first thing I was like, is this going to be bad, awful green screening again? And that's all I hear from everybody is how bad the green screen is.
I feel like a lot of the Warner Brothers, you know, Justice League movies, whatever, are like that. The DC stuff. Like, I've heard that a lot about the DC movies. And like, but I can't speak from experience because, in all honesty, the only DC universe movie that I've seen in the past since, you know, Dark Knight was Shazam. That was the only one. I don't care about the rest.
Oh, Shazam was fun.
I thought Shazam was great. I saw it on a plane. I think we were coming back from Camp Mograph, and I watched that.
Yeah.
How was the actual story, though?
My biggest, I think, critique was, why was it that he had to come back in somebody else's body? Like, you'd think that the Wish Stone would just like make him back. You know, like if it says all powerful. Okay. Well, he's do you want me to explain, or are you going to watch it if you want to?
I do not care about spoilers for this movie now.
Okay. Well, I just thought it was odd that if this Wish Stone is as all powerful as they're saying it is, that he isn't like just back as himself. He's like his soul is basically like he's almost like possessed this engineer guy. He's just in someone else's body. And so like she doesn't recognize him at first until, you know, he says what he said to her before he died in the first movie. Spoiler, he died in the first movie. Sorry. He didn't know that. And like hands her his watch, like he handed her his watch in the first one, you know, and just like, and then it's like she just sees him as Chris Pine's character. So I just thought that was like an extra thing that didn't need to be there. Like he could have just been there.
See, on the story front, I've heard bad things, and I've heard bad things from two different places. And number one, are any of my friends who are in this industry that I see on Facebook or Twitter or something or whatever, they're like, oh my gosh, like the green screen, and then anybody who I'm friends with who says they were watching it on Facebook who isn't in the industry, they say they don't like the story. And so I'm looking through this week through my feed of people who all hate this movie, and I'm like, okay, well, I probably won't like this movie. And then I see HBO Max has an ad that comes up in Facebook, and I'm like, I wonder what the comments say on this. So I click, and it is just riddled with people just blasting everything about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, I take what people say with a grain of salt because, for example, I was on the chat, our group text with Dave and EJ and Ariev, and they're all complaining about how terrible this season of The Mandalorian is, right? And I heard there was a big spoiler at the end. I'm not going to say what it is.
All right,
so I'm like, all right, I don't want the internet to ruin this for me. I have been able to avoid spoilers, so I'm going to jam through it over the next couple days. And I've got to say, I enjoyed every moment of every episode. I thought it was good from beginning. I thought it was excellent.
Even at the very end when Captain Picard shows up and
yeah. I thought Captain Picard was a really good addition. I can't believe they brought both Star Wars and Star Trek together into the same universe.
Could you imagine?
It's so good.
Yeah. I enjoyed the latest season. My only critique is like the first couple episodes, and it's probably better since you watched it all back to back. But like waiting a week in between, and it was like the first couple ones. It's like, okay, so like the same thing keeps happening over and over again.
Yes,
he goes a place, and then he has to do a thing, so he can.
But that's part of the Mandalorian creed or whatever.
I know,
right?
but it was just
you make a deal to do a job. And then
it is repetitive. That's my beef.
Get that job, and then you get the rewards from it.
It just didn't feel like there was any progress in the story at that point. It was just
okay.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
Here's the thing that I think like current day storytellers and TV shows and stuff, like what we're so used to nowadays. We're used to a fluid story every single time. We're not used to the old classic monster of the week type stuff, right?
I watched Supernatural, so I loved those, but they were always, I don't know, maybe they just felt more interesting to me.
But did you watch it every week? Did you watch it week for week?
Yeah,
for the most
way early in it, yeah, because they had like 11 seasons or something ridiculous.
No, I'm sorry. Mandalorian. Did you watch it week for week? See, I think that's the problem.
Like you gotta
I had to. If I didn't, and go into the game night, EJ might spoil it. So
I know.
I made sure.
He was good about not spoiling it in our text chain. You know, I just heard, episode 3 was crap. Episode 5, it's all right. It kind of brought it back together. That ending was great.
He tried to like hold back because I know James hadn't watched it yet, but I made sure, like, there was times where I watched it Saturday morning because I'm like, I need to make sure I watch this before tonight just in case.
See, I don't. That's why I like to binge. Oh boy, I left. I was so angry with.
Matt loves to bring to the forefront whenever there's a technical thing, when I'm just fixing it in the background real fast without bringing any attention to it.
I didn't know that was an issue. Sorry,
yes.
Dave. No, but like I really like to binge a show. I like to see the story from beginning to end, like one long movie or something. I hate going week to week to week because then you get invested in something and you could get let down.
True.
If at the end of the season, like David, EJ, and Ariev had all said, that was so crap, don't even watch it, and everyone had said, it's so crap, like Wonder Woman, I probably won't watch it. I might have watched it, before, but now I'm not gonna watch it. I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I watched it like you did. I watched it week for week, and the problem with that is that you wait 7 days to find out what's going to happen to Baby Yoda this time. What's going to push the story, and then you get there, and it's like, they're just kind of treading water or whatever, and nothing's. You're like,
y'all
and so then you wait another 7 days.
Baby Yoda. People are too invested in Baby Yoda. It is not about Baby Yoda. It is about Mando. Mando's the main character. Yeah. Baby Yoda's the side quest. He's just cute. He's cute AF, and everyone loves him.
I
do as well. I have a Baby Yoda right here, right?
Yeah. I loved the Mandalorian's character development though, that he, like there was in a game night where I'm like, I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just gonna say that last episode is an example of love, and it was the first time.
Yeah.
Spoilers, everyone. Sorry, hold on for like 5 minutes when he took off his helmet.
Yeah.
Like that, with like that moment, I was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit! Like that was.
Yeah, and that thing that Bill Burr's character was talking about, where he's like, oh, you've got, sometimes you can do this and sometimes you do this. Well, which one is it? And it's like, okay, he's been tasked with a quest to return Baby Yoda, and it's like, okay, which is more important, the task you're keeping on your helmet?
It might actually be about how you watch it, because you binged it. You were able to say, okay, this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens and here's the end. And you caught the 3 or 4 really good episodes out of all of them, all kind of at the same time, and it made it good, which we were just watching it week for week and spreading out this thing. We're like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. Where is this going?
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good binged. I think you should rewatch it and rewatch it like back to back to back to back, because it feels like I mean, I know you think you thought the whole dragon thing during the first episode was stupid, and I was like, okay, I agree, it's a side quest type thing, but that's introducing like, okay, cool. There's like. It's like when that guy walked in Boba Fett's armor, and I was like,
and then took the helmet.
And it's like, it's not Boba Fett,
But it's that actor I like.
Right.
Yeah.
The dude who
he was the bad guy in Live Free or Die Hard, and he was the husband in the Santa Clarita Diet.
Right, and
I don't know his name, but yeah,
he was the one that the judge in The Good Place loved.
I haven't watched The Good Place, but yeah.
Oh, you should. It's a good show.
I've heard it's good. It's
excellent.
It's good.
From beginning to end. Can't watch the last episode without bawling my eyes out.
Oh man.
So two questions.
Mm-hmm.
2 questions. Actually, no, I'm just going to compact it down to one. Here's my last question, and then we'll move on to other movies. Is there going to be another season of Mandalorian or not?
I think there is.
So yeah, but
I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, I mean, there's the Book of Boba Fett now, which I think is like a separate thing, or are they just doing chapters of different Mandalorian type people?
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think they're supposed to... Timothy Oliphant, thank you, Matt. No, I know they're doing Book of Fett, but I'm pretty sure they're doing Mandalorian season 3, and I think they're both supposed to come out at the same time.
Yeah. I figured it would still stay with Mando, and then he's going to be, trying to regain the Mandalorian Mandor, the Mandalorian planet or something. Like,
well, I mean, oh man, this is like such spoilers though, because he got that thing at the end that you had to fight before and stuff, and it's like the thing. And it's like, okay, well, he's a man now. He's a man now, dog.
I didn't know if they were going to just stop it right there and then like they're going to go completely another direction. Is it going to be a different show? Is this one over? Is it a new show with a new... Like, I didn't understand, like, are they going to continue with him, or where are we going?
I'm thinking they're still going to continue with him, but I do feel like it was a little bit confusing showing like, hey, we're going to do the Book of Fett, like having that kind of post-credit scene, which, going back to Wonder Woman, I did enjoy the post-credit scene. It was really, there was a nice post-credit scene with the original Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, Timothy Oliphant. He was in... I was like, where have I seen him recently? And
The Office.
He was on The Office.
Yeah.
He dated Pam for like 2 or 3 dates and then like ghosted her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like before Jim. Yeah.
I really need to watch that show from beginning to end. It's more of like something I'll catch episodes of, but I've never watched everything in order.
Well, you got 2 days if you got Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just binge it now.
Unless you want
9 seasons, right?
Subscribe to NBC Peacock app or whatever it is.
I have enough apps.
Just go
I've
buy
got Disney Plus. I've got HBO Max. I've got enough stuff. Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Well, Netflix
So
I
much
found
subscriptions
myself
go
going to
down,
Netflix less and less ever since
Yeah.
Disney Plus and HBO Max came out.
and now that
You know?
Office is gone,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
Mm.
because that
Have
was
y'all
my-
seen
Yeah.
have y'all seen oh man, what's the I forgot his name.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
all right.
Soul is the next thing. Before we finish
Soul, yeah.
before we move
I have
to the
not
next
seen
one.
Soul at all. Like
Okay.
It's good.
yeah, but you say it's good. I've also heard some other people who are like, nah, it's not that good.
Okay,
You know,
I'm gonna
it's
be
like I don't know what to expect.
I'm gonna be
with it.
completely honest with you. Here is how the feedback goes from my point of view on this. I think this was an excellent movie. It all the way through, and even at the end, I'm like, I'm not crying, you're crying, right? Like Academy Award, I saw people like, I would like to pre-congratulate Pixar on their next Academy Award, and I agree with that. The only, and don't take this the wrong way, anybody, the only people that I see disagreeing or not liking it are people who disagree with the way it portrays what a soul is and it not being Christian enough.
Oh,
If that
God.
makes any sense. It's
I haven't
highly
noticed
Christian
that.
people do not like soul because it doesn't meld with
Include God.
it doesn't
or,
include the
know,
God
like,
aspect. They're not saying that specifically, but I'm just saying that I do notice the people who don't like it are people who are highly religious. And I feel like it
Interesting.
has to do with the story and the use of souls and what heaven is and what hell is not being the same as their ideology.
Well, they don't even really technically have hell in the movie, or at least
They
they don't
mention
really
it.
talk about it.
Well, they say
mention
HE
it,
double
but
hockey
you never.
sticks.
Yeah, and then all like the souls are like they know how to spell, so,
Right.
which is really funny. I just love the quiet coyote, and I'm like, is that a thing? Because I don't have kids, so I'm like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like the
I've heard
quiet
that.
coyote.
Quiet Coyote.
Yeah, I was like trying to get the souls to calm down. I just love how like like the soul supervisors or whatever, are like, oh, they're all Jerry's, and then like Terry is like the
Jerry's.
grumpy. Yeah, Jerry's, and then there's the one Terry.
I was
And
trying
like Terry's
to
like the troublemaker.
I was trying to place the style, like where have I seen that style before? And I thought, oh, Picasso. But I swear somebody has used that style of animation. There are these 2D characters in the movie. And that style of animation, where is that from? Somebody has used that. Was it, I don't know, it was old Looney Tunes or...
Well, I look at it, it made me think of like drawing class where you had to, not lift your pencil up
Right.
and you were drawing a person in one continuous stroke. Because like that's how the characters are. It's like one continuous stroke. And then I like how if they cross their body, they mask themselves out with their hand. So they're using negative space and positive
Yeah.
space,
I
which
don't know what
is
you're
it's
talking
fun.
It's would it be cubism? No, what am I thinking of? I gotta look it up because it kind of might be cubism it is kind of cubism, but it's more line art drawing though. And it's very
It's
Picasso-ish.
like cubes, but
I don't
not
know,
cubes.
I don't
The
know how
complete
to
opposite of
describe it.
cubes.
It's just very well. I just think of it as very stylistic, just 2D
Yeah,
characters. I thought it was just a really unique look, which is what I really liked about it.
it was freaking gorgeous. I think it was really great. And I think the story was on point. I just feel like everything about the movie was completely well-rounded. And I don't know. I feel like it might top the list of one of the best movies of the year for sure. For sure, I think. It's like... just go watch it. I don't know what else to say. I feel like you have to watch it and judge for yourself. And it really is weird how like the only bad reviews that I see are people who don't agree with the actual like ideology. And I feel like you got to kind of just leave that behind because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
This isn't like a movie about religion. It's just
Right.
a movie with a general idea of maybe this is how souls work. And in this
Right.
universe of that movie, this is how
Yeah.
souls are made. This is how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do. It's a non-denominational
Right.
movie.
Yeah. I think that's why it gets the negative thing because I don't know. Anyway, we'll move,
I don't
on to more Mograph recommends. Let's talk about music. Tell me about your favorite music, and I failed to mention that these are either it doesn't have to be of all time. This can be just like, oh, in the last year, this is my favorite.
All right. Well, like I mean, I was raised on classic rock. Like that's like what my dad would always listen to in the car. So I'm very much into, rock and roll. Alternative mostly is like my go-to genre to listen to. But since my mom is a music teacher and my grandpa plays the banjo, I have a very wide range of tastes.
All right.
Yeah, like Dave, I don't know if you were there the game night I told the story of my grandpa when he played for the Emperor of Japan.
No.
Yeah. My grandpa plays the banjo, and he's in bands. He's quote retired, but not really. He still plays, although not so much these days because of COVID. But this was in the early 90s. I want to say like 92. And I found out the story like a couple years ago, which is stupid. That it took this long for me to find out the story. So my grandpa played at the riverboat back before the riverboat burned down, and that's just like a boat on the river here in St. Louis back in the day where, they would play music on. It was kind of like a club on the water sort of thing. So he would play the banjo there. Apparently Dixie music is really big in Japan. And yeah, when the Emperor was here with his wife and they were touring America, he wanted to hear some Dixie music while he was here in Missouri. And I figured out the timeline of this because I did some Googling, and they had gone to a Cardinals game here. But so my grandpa, I mean, he had 5 kids. He has a day job. He wasn't like, full-time musicianing. And he worked in the parts department at a Ford dealership. So he gets a call from the riverboat like, hey, the Emperor of Japan wants to see a show. Can you take off this day and go and play? And he tried to take a vacation day, and the Ford dealership wouldn't let him. So then the State Department had to call the Ford dealership to get. I know. I wish I could hear that conversation of what they said to get the Ford dealership to let him take the day off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah. And then like I hear the story as my mom is telling it to my boss. She's not even telling it to me. She's telling the story to my boss, who is fluent in Japanese. So, it's it was a joke at Vidzu where you're like, well, Japanese is a level 5 language because it is. It's very difficult. But because he would tell people that, so that's something like whenever Japanese would come and be like, yeah, that's a level 5 language, that was just like something we would say. But yeah, so she's telling this story to my boss in front of me, and I'm like, how do I not know this? Why have you never told me? And I bring it up to my grandpa, and he was like, oh yeah, that was cool. And I'm like, what else are you not telling me, Grandpa? But yeah, so back to music. Yeah, I have a wide range. Probably 2 of my favorite artists are Marina and the Diamonds, and oh shoot, I'm blanking on her name. And pulling up my Spotify because I have a playlist of these. Where is it? Oh. Yeah. So I have a playlist that I'll listen to a lot where it's Marina and the Diamonds, ZZ Ward, and Jen Wigmore, actually. Like those 3 female singers, which I really enjoy their sound and stuff. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. But I listen to weird music. I was cracking up the other day when this song called Country Boner showed up in my Spotify recommends, and I listened to it. I'm singing along because I'm like, this is catchy, and it's so ridiculous.
I want to say maybe I've heard that song.
Yeah, it's by.
Have you?
Hold on. Yeah, it's by Pucifer. Yeah, Country Boner.
All right. Okay.
On his album,
okay. No, I haven't seen that.
For Viagra.
No.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it shows, yeah, like my Spotify is all over the place.
Nice.
I like a lot of things.
Nice.
What about what was next on my list? TV show.
Yeah. Like favorite TV show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I rewatch that about once a year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Once
The
a year.
entire thing?
See, they really grew the beard around season 2. You know, like season 1 was a little, it was like, all right, but then season 2 hit, and it's like, all right, this is good. This is good stuff right here. My dad was a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as is my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, until that point, there hadn't really been like I don't know. It was just so, you got this petite little blonde who's just like stronger than everybody else and saving the world. And it's really interesting going back and like, I realize something different every time. It's like, oh yeah, this episode where sorry guys, spoiler alert, where she dies, where she dies, like that episode, how they kind of wrapped up like, but you're just a girl, and she's like, that's what I've been saying. And it's, you know, just kind of like these things. And like, and then you also realize like if it had ended like it had been originally planned, like Xander and Anya never would have broken up. Tara never would have died. Like all of these things that happened later. Right. This show's been out for a long time though, so if you're mad about spoilers, you're just you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just noticing James' comment in the chat. He's my art teacher
about cubism,
or my art history wife. Sitting behind me is like, wow. Yeah, maybe, okay.
because I mentioned cubism. There's no cubes.
The cubism, okay, so I don't know if it's cubism, but it is definitely very Picasso-esque is what I was meaning to get.
Yeah.
But it is, there's one called Head of a Woman, and you can see this stuff. Anyway.
Yeah, but the idea of cubism is that you're taking different perspectives of what you're drawing and putting them all together.
Yeah, there's
that's why I wouldn't consider that cubism. It kind of has the same kind of feeling, I guess, but yeah, it's not like classic cubist art.
I don't know enough about fine art. I apologize to
I actually still have my fine art textbook, which is like this thick.
Oh jeez.
Huge. Yeah, and I still remember one important date, which is 1666, which is when there was the Great Fire of London. And that's why a safe bet in my art history class test, if it's architecture in London, it's probably built after 1666. They built a lot of things. That's also the fire that took out the playhouse where Shakespeare's plays were performed. I remember random things, but yeah, I had...
That's how the brain works.
A whole year. I had a whole year of art history and then plus other classes. Yeah. So I still remember things like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I can remember what my house
Buffy the
looked like
Vampire
growing
Slayer.
up, but I can't remember anything else.
Aren't they trying to revamp Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I think they're trying to redo it, aren't they?
I heard about that, but then nothing really happened. There was kind of this UK show, which I kind of felt like was a new spin on that kind of idea, which was called Crazy Head, but it got canceled after one season, which is too bad because that was a fun show. It was really fun.
Oh, Kevin says
it was on Netflix.
He'll never stop talking about Breaking Bad or The Wire. Are those good? Are those good, Kevin?
The first time me and my wife made out was we were watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Aww. What episode?
I don't remember. I was preoccupied.
It was the
with other
sex
things.
between Buffy and Spike. I mean, that was a good one.
So the next question on the list is about podcasts. Do you, first of all, listen to podcasts?
I do.
And second of all, tell us your favorites. And do you listen to things related to Mograph or unrelated to Mograph?
Both. I listen to, I'll listen to the Grayscale Gorilla podcast. I'll listen to the School of Motion podcast, Motion Hatch. Where's my podcast? There they are.
That is quite a good handful.
I mean, yeah. I listen to a lot. I listen to Animalators, the Cartoon Brew podcast sometimes. You guys, of course. Some the non-motion related podcasts that I'll listen to are for a local show here called The Rizzuto Show, which is a lot of fun. And then I really enjoy Time Suck with Dan Cummins.
Okay.
What is that one about?
Yeah.
What's that about? Yeah.
Time Suck with Dan Cummins. each episode is of a different topic, and he like really dives deep into things like like the flat earthers or the Nexium cult or the acid bath killer or Tim Bundy. Is it Todd Bundy?
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
I was messing up my name. So I was like, I know
One of
Bundy
those.
and he's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's serial killer, and like the grandma killer that was like in Russia, and he like dives through, like he'll do the timelines and stuff. Like I had no idea that President Johnson was so obsessed with his dick.
Yeah.
Like I had
Yeah.
no idea, and like
I had
learning
no
about
idea about
that,
that.
or like
Oh, yeah.
he called it Jumbo.
Yeah. He used
He
to like
referred to
to
it as Jumbo.
pull it out all the time.
Yeah. And it was
Mhm.
just like crazy. Like this was happening in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, like if that happened today, oh man,
Yeah, no.
Johnson?
there would be
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that why they call
the
it
one
that?
that
Lyndon
took
B.
over.
Johnson, yep.
Yeah, the one that
Yep.
took over after Kennedy was assassinated.
Yep.
He was vice president.
Is that why
Yeah,
they call it your
he-
Johnson?
Texas.
Like there was an
Maybe.
interview once
Huh.
where it was like, well, why are we in Vietnam? And he totally pulled it out, and it was like, this is why. Yes.
What?
Yes.
What planet
I
have I
know.
been living on?
I know,
Yeah.
but you learn all these crazy things in Time Suck. I really enjoy listening to it and learning about that.
All right,
And
I'm in.
there's a lot of episodes, but yeah, it's just, and you can just page through and just grab what you want. But he's on Spotify and iTunes and stuff. But yeah,
See, that's what I like
it's-
listening to different podcasts for. Like, it's great. You can go listen to Mograph podcasts and things, but like, you get this other flavor and you get other inspiration, and it could be there's like productivity podcasts, like Merlin Mann, he's going to help you with like, maybe your business aspect of things, but there's so much inspiration you can draw from things that are not Mograph related.
Yeah.
I like to learn, and history is kind of fascinating. Like there was a president way back in the day, like before we got to the North Pole and the South Pole, who believed in the possibility of there's mole people. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like a funny thing to just know offhand. Like we had a president who believed in the possibility of mole people.
Yeah.
Well, at that time they didn't really know that much, so it isn't really like that crazy. But it's just if you just like leave that part out, like there was a president who thought there might be mole people, you'd be like, wait, what a minute, like what? Like our
Yeah.
presidents are supposed to be smart.
Right.
They didn't realize
Not
it was
anymore.
actually lizard
Yeah.
people the whole
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
There is actually an episode that goes all through like the lizard like people kind of conspiracy theories. He loves
Nice.
breaking down conspiracy theories. Like that's why he did the whole episode on the flat earthers and all that stuff, which
hmm
is funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next question is now I will say, short of render engines, what is your favorite plugin to use?
Okay, so X Particles is a plugin, right? Like is
Yeah,
that
yeah, totally,
like
Totally.
Yeah.
yeah. So 3D related, X Particles is definitely my favorite plugin. 2D related, I use Overlord so much.
Yeah.
Overlord is like the best thing ever. That is like
Mhm.
my number one recommend. I also have Time Lord now, but I haven't really used it that much. I also love, of course, Red Giants and Trapcode Particular. I use that a lot.
Mhm.
And then I also use the Motion V2 from Mount Mograph in After Effects.
Mhm.
But I mostly I really love the anchor point tool. Like it's really easy for me to just change the anchor point, like center bottom, center top,
Yeah.
center.
That's a
Yeah,
good
no,
one.
it's
a
just
must-have.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's mostly what I use it for. That and creating a quick vignette or copying keyframes on multiple layers that allows you to do
Oh,
that.
God.
There's a lot
nice.
of
All right, you sold me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good productivity things hidden in it, and I've had that one for years. They also have and the burst option in there is great for if you just need to do like a quick cartoony burst, like a pop with all the lines, radial.
So when
yeah.
the client says I really need it to
The
pop,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Always.
which I have a graphic design friend who really hates that term because she had a freelance client who would say that all the time.
uh-huh.
So that's like a trigger for her.
Yeah.
Like, can you just make it pop? Which in graphic design, that's not really like that's one of those annoying client requests that doesn't make sense. Although in motion design, you do actually make things pop, so that can make sense.
Right.
But
Like
yeah,
you can make
literally
things pop up, but yeah, literally pop. Whereas like in graphic design, it's like, can you just make it pop?
Make
It's
the
like,
logo bigger.
yeah, like what does that mean?
Any headphone recommendations? I like the look of your headphones. So,
Yeah.
What are you wearing?
Yeah.
These are from Friends without an I, so it's FRENDS, and the website is wearefriends.com. But yeah, they have different caps, you can see. And
that's
they all
really interesting.
Yeah.
Looking.
You can actually change them out. So these can come off and you can put different ones on. But yeah, they have 2 different sizes, and they have wired and wireless ones. And they even have like the phone control things on them.
Yeah.
Where is that? It's hidden in my hair, I think.
I've never seen anything like that before.
That's
with
cool.
the switchable pieces and things. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're nicely collapsible, but yeah, so they have the wireless and the wire-free, and on the wire they have the phone controller thing. I don't know how those work on the wireless versions, but I'm sure those are also there. But they're comfortable, good sound quality, and they're pretty.
Yeah, that's cool.
And what's your favorite go-to app now on your phone? Muscle memory.
Instagram. I definitely look on Instagram
That's what
the
most
most.
people say now.
Yeah. I have a TikTok. I've only posted one thing, but I do have a TikTok. Well, it's kind of like, I guess I should do it because it makes sense for my stuff. But then, yeah, I've only posted my lipstick animation, so I don't know what else I'll put on there.
I've always said with TikTok, like, I've always thought it was a great app. Always.
Well,
but like that, you have to be like creating specifically for TikTok if you're gonna do TikTok, you know, because the giant letterboxing does not work well.
No.
When I joined, I got annoyed when I saw like one of the motion sites that they had reshared my friend Nick Knox Art's work on TikTok, but they hadn't credited him at all. So I like left a comment about that.
That's
I'm like,
lame.
hey, because I was just like, this is my buddy's work, and you need to at least like acknowledge that it is his work.
I think
like
Matt,
this isn't yours.
Yeah, Matt's talked.
I did that on
before.
Instagram the other day. Someone had shown off Blake Catherine's work, and I said, "Hey, credit where credit's due." You know.
Yeah, you got to do that. So, look out for
their newer ones. They've been putting like their names on top, but so. Hopefully they keep doing that, but that has been that's the only thing that when I joined TikTok and I saw that, I'm like, that's not cool.
Now if the new stimulus package includes something in it to allow you to go to jail for 10 years for playing copyrighted music on Twitch, why can't we do that for people who steal artwork from other artists? I mean, that to me seems like that would be just as bad, right? Somebody steals your work of art.
I actually even had that happen to me where it was so confusing, and it was like not even like the best piece I've done, at least in my opinion. You know, like so I did this Yellow Submarine animation for my mom's 8th grade class last year. Because again, she's a music teacher, and so it was the audio is of them singing the Yellow Submarine, and I made a 3D animation to it, and I had shared like a screenshot or like a frame of them swimming through the giant kelp, and it was the Yellow Submarine, and I had posted that on Instagram. Someone took it and then entered me into some sort of contest, but then they also tagged me, and then the contest, and I was super confused by it because they also like even like like they even like squished it so it like to fit into the square because it was a standard HD 1920 1080 frame. And they had like squished it to fit into the square frame, so it looked even worse.
Yeah.
And then I'm tagged on it, and I'm like, well, that's weird that I'm just like, well, they tagged me, even though it looks terrible. I'm not gonna like make a stink about it. Yeah. And then like they like the contest person contacted me. It's like, oh, if you're entering, you need to fill this out. And I'm like, I didn't enter this. Yeah. Like someone else had entered my work, yet still like, and I guess didn't think I would find out somehow, even though they tagged me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it was so weird. This happened over
Which
the
it was
summer.
like actually like a family member or whatever. They're like,
No,
"Oh, Sarah
it
would be great at this. Let's
No, it was someone over in the Middle East, actually. Like, I
weird.
don't know. It was just super random.
Well,
I only was able to figure that out by looking at like the Facebook group of this contest and like figuring it out, like doing some detective work. It was just super random.
Ash says, you accept the terms for a platform, it makes it not yours anymore. But that's the problem, right? Is you got all these new things that are coming out in the terms of service for Instagram, especially saying, oh, well, this, once you put it on here, we can do whatever we want with it, blah, blah, blah. Now, number one, it doesn't mean anybody can do anything they want with it. It means that only Instagram can do anything they want with it. But that doesn't apply to music. Think about that. Just imagine if an artist wanted to put their stuff on Spotify and Spotify said, well, if you put this on Spotify, this song is ours.
Yeah.
We get to do whatever with it. And so then somebody else takes it and it's like, oh, well, it was on Spotify, so it's fair game. Now, that doesn't seem very equal in my opinion, but it seems like, I don't know. There needs to be more protection for artists in that situation now. And crypto art kind of helps with that in a way, kind of, but not quite. But it's like, well, if we're going to make these weird Twitch laws and things, why don't we just go across the board with copyright? Why don't you just say, okay, we're not going to change, oh, you can't play this on Twitch or go to prison for 10 years. Why don't we just say, if you steal people's art and try and resell it,
I'd be in trouble there because I took a screenshot of him, his reference picture
but you're not
of him
selling,
screaming out the
but you're not selling
For
it.
the hair.
You're not selling it or using it for any sort of financial gain or anything.
Yeah.
It more
I'm
like
just doing it for the memes. Just doing it for the memes, for the lulz.
For the grams. No.
For the
Yeah, I wish there was more protection, but last question. Life hack. Favorite life hack?
Life hack.
Mitch Meyer's life hack is turn the toaster on its side for some bomb mass grilled cheese.
Yes, which is very, very Mitch.
Yeah.
Have you seen people cooking steak in a toaster?
Oh.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
It does sound like a terrible idea, but I have seen several people on TikTok do it.
No.
And I've even seen Gordon Ramsay duet it, calling them, a stupid donut for, doing it.
Yeah, I would also call them a stupid donut. Use a cast iron skillet. Like,
right?
Come on. Yeah, I mean, life hack. I guess that like roasting a chicken and then just throwing the carcass of the chicken into your slow cooker with a carrot or like with a full-size carrot and a full-size celery stick and just covering it with water and you just cook it on low and you make your own chicken stock that way with like minimal. Yeah, I know you don't cook, Matt, but
I don't.
That's a very easy thing. Like I make my own chicken stock that way. I'll be doing that later tonight. But yeah.
Have you seen watching TikTok, all these cooking things? I like to enjoy the cooking channels. I don't actually do it myself. But they're always talking about saving the scraps, the stuff you would normally throw away, and like put them in a bag and just keep them in the freezer, so that you can make your own stock later with it. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so easy to do, and I mean, it's healthier. There's less, sodium, and there's no preservatives. Because then I just freeze it. I also do that with pumpkin. I typically, like every year, I'll roast a giant pumpkin, and then I'll puree it, and then measure it out and freeze it.
Cool.
So then I just have pumpkin in there.
We're gonna have to ask Mitch if he has any new life hacks.
Life hack. Yeah, you're gonna have to have a new one.
Update that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be giving a new example after that. Who knows?
James says it's easier for them to run an audio waveform through an algorithm than track down who made original art. But I'm also thinking, they're doing this for video copyright stuff on YouTube anyway. Like, how hard would it be for someone to implement it? And I guess the problem is where's the monetization of fixing copyright? That's what it is. If somebody can make a business out of it, it will become a thing. So there's your $1 million idea right there. Go run with it.
Yeah, someone make some sort of AI image recognition system.
It's possible.
Yeah,
totally
I mean,
possible.
Google, you can image search. Hi, sorry, my dog is very interested.
Hi, Opie.
Right now.
That's funny.
Hi, I'm on a podcast right now. I can't do
That's
anything.
funny.
Sorry.
What's up? Hello. Well, I think we've gone through the list. We've reached the end.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sarah, thanks so much for being on the show.
That was fun. I'm
I
happy
can't wait
to be
to meet
here.
in person.
Yes, so we'll get some hot, wet, and stickies.
Yeah. Or at least
Go
you know,
to an open mic night.
Yes.
yeah. Matt can at least come, hang out on the game stream sometime
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Something.
instead of
Just
going
once,
to
have
bed.
some-
Do it
have some
earlier. You gotta
coffee.
do it earlier.
Have some
Okay,
coffee.
here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna run my own game night.
Okay.
Right.
With
That's a
blackjack
little bit
and-
before that one,
Yeah.
and then I'll send out the link, and then I'll end mine at the same time that that Winbush starts.
Or you could stay up
Okay.
past 10 p.m.
On a Saturday though.
I
Like,
know.
that's
That's the
what
best
Dude,
time to
Saturdays
stay
I'll
up
tell you
late.
what.
Lord.
Once my kids start sleeping past 5:45 a.m., I will gladly stay up later. But I need my sleep, yo.
Beauty sleep.
I
Right.
understand.
Right.
You got a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
He's dadding right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
About
right.
to have
Yeah.
a 1-year-old.
I've just got this puppy here who I call him a puppy, but he's 6. But
Yeah.
like he lets me sleep in, so it's no big deal. Although that one night where I was like, I jumped on the game night and then jumped right back off because I had to go to bed because I had 4 hours of sleep. He wouldn't let me take a nap, so
Yeah. See, and I'm supposed to take a nap while the kid takes a nap, but the kid's taking a nap right now. I can't take a nap while I'm doing a podcast.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm.
yep. It's a conundrum.
Oh, Wimbush said we could start earlier.
Yeah,
There we
let's
go.
start earlier. Blame EJ. We always blame EJ for the late
He's
start.
always like
Mowing
he's
his
always
lawn.
eating or something.
Always mowing his lawn or running a
Running.
mile.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
I got to go canoe for a minute.
Hold on, right before we start this podcast, I gotta have a client meeting.
Yeah.
All of those
He's so
things have
funny.
happened.
Yeah,
by the
those are
way.
all real
of
things.
We are not making all of those things have
He's a
happened.
busy guy.
I was going back and looking at episode 200 where he didn't show up until an hour and a half into the episode.
Seriously? Wow.
It's funny.
See, I like blocked off the time and I was like, nothing is happening during this
Yep.
time.
It's our ongoing
I'm
joke.
busy.
Yeah. He even said incoming link, and I'm like, oh, I'm on my way up, and I get up there and
Yeah.
nobody has sent a link yet.
Yeah.
So
It
we'll
was
plan
like half an hour later before he sent a link.
Winbush. Let's start at let's plan on starting at 4 p.m. your time,
Yeah.
and then we'll get started by 8.
Yeah. yeah. I'm down.
It's fun though. Everybody join us. Go to Winbush's channel. I'll put that in the show notes, and then I'm gonna put your info, Sarah, where people can find you, like websites and things. But you can go ahead and tell us on the air as well where people can find you.
All right. On Instagram and Twitter and I think Twitch too. It's both at SA Gibson Design. Like I posted one thing on Twitch, so Twitch is not the channel to follow me on. You can, but I mean, whatever. I'll eventually post something else maybe. And then my website is sagibsondesign.com.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So check that out. Make sure you check out show notes for everything. Make sure you check out that new article coming out this week. You can check that out on the socials and things. And yeah, follow us. We got some fun things coming up. You can rate us on iTunes, leave a review, helps get our ratings up. Subscribe on your podcatcher of choice, and subscribe to the newsletter, which goes out every month or so. Probably put one out in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. You can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, the Paul Babb Feel the Bab 2020 shirt. All the profits from that go to Doctors Without
Vintage.
Borders. Vintage. The
Need to
render
add that in there.
Yeah.
Add the
the
vintage.
vintage Paul Babb shirt. Render
Yeah.
Things t-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve tee. That Render is Fire shirt, which you are only allowed to wear, ironically, unless you're Shams.
Unless you're Shams.
And the new Mograph retro kind of throwback graphic blandishment shirt. Make sure you get you one of those too. I got mine. I'm enjoying it. It's fun to
Mhm.
wear.
I still haven't ordered mine yet. I need to.
Oh,
I ordered a Render Things hoodie. I'll get it next
Yeah.
month. I just
awesome.
thought it was fun.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Yeah.
You wear those to any like meetup or something, you're gonna get a lot of comments on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Where'd you get that
positive?
shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That was probably the most clever thing I ever came up with. That's it. That tops my list.
Yeah, I just thought it was fun. It was clever, and I love Stranger Things, and I like rendering things, so why not?
Yeah. That's as far as I go with my creativity. So.
Yeah. That was $1 million idea right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
You got my money.
All right. Kevin says, awesome show. Can't wait to get hot, wet, and sticky with everyone.
Yep.
And on that note, we're going to get out of here. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, mograph.com, and all the things. Check us out on there. Come say hi. Send us an email, info@mograph.com. And we're going to take off. Until next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Sarah.
Have a good one.
Later, yo.
Bye.
All right. Stand by, everybody.
Woo.
Which episode is this, Dave?
This is 265. Yep.